Texas Church. If you came looking for Chad, I am not. I am not Chad. Him and Lisa are on their way back from Florida this morning. He messaged me at like 5 o'clock this morning that they were on their way back. Overachiever. Anyway, man. God is so good. I had about 3 different directions I was going to go, and I can't decide which way I'm going to go. I had a sermon all picked out that I was going to do, and it was good. And then Wednesday night, we came here for worship practice, and I told them, yeah, this is what I'm going to be teaching on. This is the way I'm going to go. And then Thursday, it all changed. And then I still hadn't had like a sermon that I had wrote. I had like a bunch of thoughts wrote out in different places. That's why I got my phone and my tablet up here, because I used both of them. And we went camping this weekend, and I thought, well, I'll go down the camper. It's quiet. I'll collect my thoughts there and no, didn't happen. So I was driving back this morning and was like, yeah, I have nothing to like of substance, I feel. So just hang on. We'll get through this together, and it'll make sense. So I've actually took about 4 different sermons, and I'm going to morph them into one. So, but today I'm going to talk about the God of the middle. The Bible says that he's the Alpha and Omega. We've all heard that, the beginning and the end. And that's great, the beginning and the end. We don't live at the beginning, and we're not to the end yet. We're in the middle. And in the middle is where all the stuff happens. In the middle is where life is. And even though you're going through things, even though life looks bad, how many, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I'll raise my hand because I know there was a time in my life where life looked bad. It was probably about as bad as it could possibly be. Like, I was on my, possibly could be facing prison time. It was that bad. But even then, God was there. And it was only because of God that he got me through that. And even the last 3 years to get to where I am today, he's been here with me. If you're in the middle, God is still there. It's in the middle where it takes faith. In the middle is where you still have to believe that God is still there, even when he doesn't feel like it. When they were going across the lake and the disciples and Jesus were in the boat, the storm didn't happen at the beginning. It didn't happen at the end. It happened in the middle. But God was still God. God is the same God when they left the shore as he was in the middle, as he was when they got to the other side. And if you remember in that story, God told them, get in the boat and go to the other side. He didn't say, get in the boat and go to the middle. We're all going to die. He said, we're going to the other side. So if he brought you, I've told this my whole life, if he brings you to it, he's going to bring you through it. And the only way you're going to get through it is with him. I would not be standing here today if it had not been for God. I got desperate. I was so desperate. Somebody told me, Amanda, you told me a couple weeks ago, you said something to me. I don't remember exactly how you said it. I don't remember what we were talking about, but you said you could see a change in me, and that, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you said my eye, I don't remember, what did you say? I was lost. I was lost. I was going through the motions. I was getting up every morning. I was going to work. I didn't care if I came home for work. I was simply existing, barely existing at that. Okay, moving right along. Romans 12:12. If you want to turn to your Bibles, we're going to go there first. God of the middle. And I'm going to be going back and forth because I've got some notes on my tablet, but the majority of this is on my phone. So God is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, but He's also the God of the middle. The middle of heartache, the middle of a breakup, the middle of a divorce, God is still God. He's the middle. He's in the middle. It's not the time to give up and stop praying. So many times when we're in the middle of things, we start doubting where God is. And we just think, well, God's not here. So we quit praying. When it gets hard to pray is when you have to press in. You have to pray even more. So Romans 12:12. Yep, okay. It says, be glad for all God is planning for you. That's great. We can be happy that God is planning great things for us, right? Well, that sounds great. Be glad for all God is planning for you. Be patient in trouble and prayer for always. That doesn't sound so great. I don't want to be patient in trouble. I'm not a patient person. When I come to trouble, I want to get through it as fast as I can. I want to learn the lesson, and I want to get through it, and I want to move on to the good stuff. But God tells us right here in His Word in Romans 12 to be patient. So many times we find ourselves in situations because of us. All the things that I went through in my life was because of my poor decision making. I made some poor decisions. Whether it was who I surrounded myself with, did what they were going to do because I wanted to be cool and fit in. Everything that's happened in my life has been either based on a good decision or a bad decision. We're all here today because we got up and made a decision to be here. We made a decision, whether it was this morning, last night. I made a decision this morning that I didn't want to be here, but I had to be here. So here we are. But God is still God, even in the middle right now with me, because He's here with us. He is here with you. He is the God of the middle. So let's go to Daniel 3. That's way back in the Old Testament. I'll give you a second to get there. So, have you ever heard the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Those three fellows don't get talked about enough. I love this story. If you haven't heard the story, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of it. So there was three dudes, and they lived in the time of King Nebuchadnezzar. He was not a good dude, and he had the idea that he wanted everyone in his kingdom to worship his God. And if you didn't worship his God the way that he wanted you to, then he was going to kill you. So he had this furnace built, and I don't know what, it was just a furnace, big enough to put people in. So he made a decree that when the band plays, everyone bows down, and you're going to worship this idol. So the band plays, everyone bows except for these three guys. And so they do this twice, and then on the third time, they bring these three dudes to the king, and this is what he says in Daniel 3, verse 15. He says, I'll give you one more chance. When the music plays, if you fall down and worship the statue, lost my place. If you worship the statue, all will be well, meaning everything will be cool. But if you refuse, you will this hour be tossed into the flames. And what God can deliver you out of my hands then? Basically, he's saying one more chance. How many times, if you have kids, you've said it 1,000 times. One more time. One more time. I will bust you. Do it one more time. I promise you. He's basically telling them the same thing, only he's going to throw them in a furnace. So the band plays, and they don't. So he snatches them up. Let's see, where was I going to go? He snatches them up. He has his guards grab them, takes them, ties them up, and throws them into the furnace. So in verse 23, it says, So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fell down, bound into the roaring flames. And backstory on this. He had it heated, I believe it was 7 times hotter than normal. So that's hot. Just kept telling him, stoke it more. Put some more fire. Last night we were at the campground, and we were putting wood on the fire, and I put like 3 pieces of wood on the fire, and Stephanie put like 10 pieces of wood on the fire, and I was like, we're going to be out here for a while. Because, I mean, she just like kept throwing wood, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's 8 o'clock. I want to go to bed here shortly. So she stoked the fire 7 times harder than it was. No. Anyway, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fell down, bound into the furnace. He threw them into the furnace. This is so cool. But suddenly, as he was watching, Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement, exclaimed to his advisors, Didn't we throw 3 men into the furnace? Yes, they said, we did indeed, your majesty. Well, look, Nebuchadnezzar shouted, I see 4, unbound, walking around in the fire, and they aren't even hurt by the flames, and the 4th looks like a god. God of the middle. It doesn't matter what furnace you're going through, whether it's a divorce, your kids, your job. God is the God of the middle. Not only did God walk through the fire with them, they'd come out and they didn't even smell like smoke. It says, and then Nebuchadnezzar, in verse 26 says, then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the open door of the flaming furnace and yelled, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God. So that's funny because just a few verses before he says, what God will save you then? And now he's saying the Most High God. Come out, come here. And they stepped out of the fire. When the princes and the governor's companies and counselors crowded around them and saw that the fire hadn't touched them, not a hair on their head was singed, their coats were unscorched, and they didn't even smell like smoke. When God walks through the fire with you, you won't even smell like smoke. Pastor Chad is a perfect example of that. He was walking through the fire, facing prison time, and you look him up, there's nothing now. His life has completely changed because God walked with him. Oh, what's this? What is this? It's the cross. Our cross is empty. But if you go into some churches, there's a God hanging on that cross. We don't serve a dead God. Those churches that have a Jesus hanging on that cross serve a dead God. Our cross is empty because our God is alive and he's walking with us. That is so good. Somebody needs to write that down. Where's my pen? I'll have to watch that back. That was good. I amaze myself sometimes. We serve a living God. He walks with us. He talks with us. He's here with us. Jesus was with his disciples in the boat. He laid down to take a nap, but he was still with them. So many times in life we wonder where God is. I'm in the middle of something. I'm in the middle of a hurt. I'm in the middle of a fight. I'm in the middle of a storm. And we always wonder where God is, but God is always with us. He never leaves us and he never forsakes us. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what kind of addiction you're in. God is always with you. It doesn't matter. Even in the I wasn't really into the drug scene, but I drank. And I tried to put the breweries out of business, see if I could drink them out of business. There's been many times I would go out and try to drink the bars out of beer. I could never do it, but I was going to give it a shot. even in that time, God was still with me. Even though I was doing my own thing, doing what I wanted to do, and I was in the middle of my mess, God was still there. God is still the same yesterday and today, and he'll be the same tomorrow too. Hang on one second. There was something else that I was going to say, and I can't find it now. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself. Because I thought that I was this horrible person. I couldn't make a good decision to save my life. And I was harder on myself than what anybody else could be. But God was still God. He was still with me, and he was still there. So go ahead and get that other song ready to go. Can you go ahead and shut the lights off again? So, as you don't have to play that yet. Hang on, I'll tell you. So, when Lisa messaged me months ago about preaching today, I told her yes, and then I was like, great, what am I going to teach on? And freedom is what I wanted. Freedom was the first thing that popped in my head, and then it was kind of weird how the whole thing with Charlie Kirk happened, and his shirt said freedom on it. So today, I'm going to call it Freedom Sunday. I could probably talk for another 20 minutes or so and give you another sermon about something I could come up with, I'm sure. But my whole existence in life is to bring hope to the hopeless. The things that I've gone through in my life, I don't want them to be just for nothing or because of my own stupidity, because I can't make good decisions or I didn't make good decisions then. I'm making much better decisions now. But I want to help people. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're here. That's why I am here. My Facebook page, that's what I have a little saying on there. It says, bringing hope to the hopeless. You know, if you're here today, we're going to play a song, and it's called God is With Us. I heard it this is the first time that I heard this song. I heard it this morning on the way back up here. So if you're hurting, if you're desperate, if you're here today and you're looking for Jesus and you're looking for God, as we play this song, I'm going to open up this altar. It's been opened up all day long, but I'm nobody. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing. I can't do anything for you, but I know a guy. He's the same guy that did it for me. So as this song plays, and if you want to come up, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pray for you, and my prayer is going to be very simple. And all it's going to be is I'm going to mix my faith with your faith. Then I don't need to know what you're going through. It's none of my business. It's none of my business what hurt you're facing. But I know a guy. God knows. So we're going to play this song, and you just close your eyes and just sit there. And if you're wondering, should I go up, should I come up? It wasn't until I got really desperate for God that God changed my life. And I don't mean just like, oh, I want God to get me out of my trouble. There's a difference between needing air and being desperate for air. If I put my hands around your throat, you're going to need air. If I put a trash bag over your head and wrapped a rope around it and tied it off to where you couldn't breathe, you're going to be desperate for air. How desperate are you? Well, so I could hold you under the water in our baptismal, and I could just like dunk you under, and you're going to be like, but if I hold you under, you're going to fight. I seen a meme one time that says you got to fight. And you got to fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to the ark, and brother, it's starting to rain. You got to fight. You have to fight for your life. You have to fight for what you want. God was so, Hi, are you new? Will you hold that for me? That's your problems. God's not going to come up and snatch your problems from you and take them. He's not going to take your problems out. He will help you walk with them. He will hand them to you, and he will make you walk with them. And he will help you through them. But he's not going to deliver you out of your problems in an instant. He will walk with you. He will take you by the hand, and he will walk with you through your problems. I didn't get delivered I didn't wake up on one day and the problems just disappear. I didn't wake up one day and my marriage just be fixed. I had to walk through the path. Whatever mountain I'm preaching to myself. I'm past my notes. That took like 5 minutes to get through. He's going to walk with you through your problems. I had a thought and I lost it. I'm trying to get it back. The men ran out in the hallway up here, and I'm trying to corral them all back. Yes, the mountain. Thank you. Whatever mountain you're facing, you're not going to go around it. You're not going to go under it. You're going to have to walk through it. You're going to have to climb the mountain. There is nothing in life that's easy. I think one of the very first sermons that I ever preached was life isn't easy. Stop thinking. I don't know where we come up with this, that we deserve this itchy, cushy life, that we are owed anything. Chad says it all the time, and I'm not going to say like he does, but we're not owed nothing. Life is hard. We follow Hollywood, and we see all these people that have all this money, and we think that they're happy and they've got it all. They've just got more bills. Some of their lives are more messed up than our lives. I know one thing. I know that God is God and that he's here and he will meet you where you're at. And he will walk with you even in the darkest of times. I remember a time, I was going to play a song like 5 minutes ago when I just got to talking. Hang on a minute. I remember a time not long ago, a couple years ago, that I was so mad at God. So mad at God. Like I would get in my truck, and I was living in Bonds here at the time, and I was so mad at God. I had a grandson that was stillborn. I was so mad at God. I remember getting in my truck and driving, and I wasn't really working at the church then, but I was going, and people kind of started seeing who I was and stuff like that, and I was supposed to be God's man of faith, the power for the hour, and I was so mad at God. I hated God for allowing that to happen. And I got in my truck, and I started driving to work one day, and I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs. I screamed so much that I like blew my voice out. I couldn't talk. And it was probably God's way of telling me to shut up, that he had it. But I've been there. I've been through the hurt. And even even then, I didn't understand then why. And it was about 4 or 5 months after that that I finally figured out the why. And it made sense to me. I didn't know then, but I know now, and I'm fine with it. Doesn't still doesn't make it good, but you know. So anyway, we're gonna play this song. It's called "God Is With Us," and if you want prayer, just come up front. You can kneel, you can stand. Um, I tell you what, before we do that, let's do one other thing. I want everybody to close their eyes. Because you can, if I play this song and you come up and I pray for you, that's going to be great. But what you really need is Jesus, and it's going to do you no good to come up here and have me pray for you if you don't know Jesus. Because you can't go ask your friend for something if you're not friends. That's good too. Somebody needs to write that down. So I'm not going to ask for you to raise your hands. I can't see anyway. But if you just repeat this prayer after me. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask you to come into my heart. I ask you to take out the stony heart and put in a heart of flesh. I ask you to forgive me of my sins and be Lord of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. We're going to play this song. You can go ahead and play it. You can turn it up. Where's God that it hurts so bad you can't hold back the tears? God in the pictures. Where's the prayers that didn't fix? Don't make sense. Where is God in all of this? Oh, He is right here when there's always been. Never will, God. God, God, hallelujah. I don't know if I preached on this one time before. I don't get to do this very often, and freedom in the let go. I wrote this June 26th of this year. As long as we hold on to it, it stays the same it stays the same. It never changes. If we don't get out of the way and we let God, if you whatever you're going through, if you don't lay it down and give it to God and walk away, it 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 never changes. It's like taking your car to a mechanic and telling him that you want your car fixed and then you grabbing his tools and trying to fix it. Or it'd be like having JD come to your house and build a deck, but then you're in his way. He'd probably just punch you and throw you out of the way, knock you out, and then you got to. No, I'm not like that anymore. uh, yeah, right. Since about 9:30 this morning. Right, right. Yeah, that's all of us. So freedom in the let go. If you're gonna go skydiving, you can't skydive unless you let go of the plane. It's in letting go of the plane that you feel the freedom of the fall, the rush of the wind, the adrenaline. If you don't, this guy's good. If you don't let go, all you paid for is a plane ride. Letting go. I've never skydived. I've actually wanted to. For my 50th birthday, I was going to go skydive. Oh, okay. You probably should have. Yeah, no. I realize that I don't. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I don't like the freedom in letting go. I don't like. I don't want to jump out of a perfect. And I'll jump out of a plane if I have to. Like if it's like, yeah. If it's crashing, I'm out. See ya. I'll take my chances. What's that? Well, uh, that's a good question, but I'd have to go skydiving first, and I don't want to. Letting go is always the scariest part, but and this could be. I mean, I related that to skydiving, but so many times we hang on to our hurts and our habits, like you know, this is our hurts and our habits. This it's mine. It becomes our identity. It becomes who we are. Uh, I'm Kevin and I'm hurt. I'm Kevin. I'm depressed. Our so many times our hurts and our habits and our hang-ups become our identity, and it's in letting go of all of that that you truly find out who you are. And sometimes letting go is a repeated process. It's not always a one and done. There is there was several times that as I was going through my recovery, and I'm sure others as they have walked through their recovery, that you would get little thoughts in your head like, "You ain't changed. There ain't nothing different about you. Look at you." So you may not have done whatever it is you were doing, but you thought about it, and then you're like, "I ain't any different." What I did was anytime those thoughts came up, I was like, "No, not today." I've walked away from that life. So it's not just a one and done. Even today, those of you that come up front for whatever these that you came up front for. I'm sorry, I'm also reading my notes to make sure I said everything I wanted to. For those of you that came up front today, before you walk out the doors, before you're done eating, before you get home, maybe even right now while you're sitting there, you've probably already had the thought, or you're going to have the thought, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. But there is something has changed. We took it to God. God is not a microwave God. Could it? Can it? Does it change right away? Absolutely. But like I said before, more times than not, what's going to happen is God's going to walk with you through it, because there's something in the process that He's wanting you to learn. Going through everything that I have went through, I had to learn this process. There was something in there that I had to learn, and I wouldn't have learned it had He just grabbed me and plucked me out of it. That would have been great. It would have been awesome. But there was things in there that I had to learn, and the only way to learn them is to go through them. With your kids, you can't save your kids from everything. Sometimes they just got to learn the hard way. Sometimes they got to fall down the steps. Sometimes they got to crash their bike. Sometimes you just got to let them get hurt. That's the only way to learn sometimes. So you may have to let something go several times a day, several times an hour. It's a process. Trust the process. Chad told me that so many times over the last 3 years. I got sick of hearing. I'd call him up. I'd be in tears. He's just like, just trust the process, bro. Just trust the process. You just got to trust the process. I'm like, it would be easier to trust the process if I knew what the process was. I don't even know what I'm doing. Like what's the end goal? You can turn the lights on. I'm sorry, you guys are all sitting in the dark. You can turn the lights on. I'm like, why is it so dark in here? So it's several times an hour. It's a process. Trust the process. Pray about it, give it to God, and let go. And then when you think about it again, you just have to remind yourself, and Satan that God's got it. And by saying God's got it, you take your hands off of it and you give it back to God. I think that's all I got. You can, I don't know. You can go ahead and go off live.